It is getting Christmassy out here. Today we're going to be talking about all things failure. I, for one, have always had this large fear of failure, and I feel like it's held me back in a lot of situations, prevented certain opportunities, and it's just been a very difficult thing to navigate, especially over the last few years. So this is an open chat slash rant about why failure is your superpower, because I've actually learned a lot in accepting this fear and learning to live with it. So I'll be sharing 5 lessons in this video on why failure is your superpower. Before I jump into the first lesson, I thought I would just take 1 second to explain what my fear of failure looks like and how my mind works around it. On the one hand, I feel grateful for it because I feel like it's pushed me to study harder, to get the grades, work harder. I feel like I'm constantly not doing enough and I need to be a perfectionist and get everything 100% right all the time, that I'm hustling even harder. I always give my best to kind of reduce that chance of failure, and obviously that has benefited me in studying for my exams and doing my degree, in any jobs I've had, so that's been great. But on the other hand, I procrastinate a lot. As a perfectionist and as someone who's scared of failure, I feel like I procrastinate because that fear that I'll get it wrong holds me back. So I'd rather put off the task than do it and have that little risk that I'll get it wrong, which obviously is really bad and it's held me back a lot. But here's how I cope with it now. Number 1. Failure is a fundamental part of success. You will never hear a success story without somebody saying how they probably failed 1,000 times before they finally got their dream career or their dream car or fame or riches, whatever it is. And that's why it can actually be a blessing to fail. Embrace your failures. In fact, imagine your future self having made it. They got their dream life, they did everything, and they're being interviewed or someone's asking them for advice, and your future self is saying, well, actually I used to struggle with all of these failures back then, but those are the things that got me to where I am now. It's about changing your mindset, so when you fail, that's not a step backwards, but that's actually a step closer to your dream destination, because you're getting all of the wisdom, and that's one more mistake that you've gotten out of the way. Now you're even closer to the dream life because now you know not to make that one mistake again. In my own experience especially, I've learned that you have to experience the failure to even figure out what your next step is going to be. So you can take a look at me, for example. You might think you're 22 years old, you get to be a full-time social media content creator post uni, you're chilling, you got the brand deals, you get to work from home, you're just talking on a camera all day, living life, right? But what they don't see is the 14-year-old version of me who set up her first ever YouTube channel while she was in secondary school. It barely got any views. She did it for about 1.5 years, consistently put out videos, and then ultimately gave up with it because it didn't go anywhere. They don't see the 16-year-old version of me who set up a fashion blog website online that nobody ever clicked onto or read. They don't see the 17-year-old version of me who set up her first online jewelry business that didn't make enough sales. And they don't see 18-year-old me who finally decided she wanted to take her Instagram serious, so she was out and about banking Instagram content to try and be consistent and hopefully grow up a following, and she had to do that consistently for 2 years before she saw any results in her following growing when she was 20 years old. So from what I've just said, I had about 4 or 5 different projects. They all failed during my teen years. This is not the first thing I've done. It wasn't just, oh, I had this idea and I succeeded straight away. And truthfully, I don't think I would be here being able to do this now had I not had my first YouTube channel, had I not learned marketing from doing my first jewelry business, had I not learned how to write or be creative through setting up a fashion blog, had I not been grafting at the content creation for the last 4 years. The crazy thing is, if I had let my first, second, or even third attempt stop me, I wouldn't have modeled or worked with brands or grown my following on multiple platforms, or even had you right now sitting there watching me on your screen right now. That's why you gotta keep trying, because eventually you will find the thing that works for you. Everyone does, always. Lesson number 2, failure is inevitable and invaluable, so learn to shift your perspective on it. It's going to happen in any situation regardless. It literally has to, and this is why. Every time we win at something, we go out, we party, we celebrate. But every time we lose, every time we fail, that's when we pause. We stop, we reflect, we take a step back, we re-strategize. So where does the learning happen? If things went right 100% of the time, where would our wisdom come from? I also think there's this misconception that you have to wait to feel ready to do the task. But the thing is, what if your fear of failure never goes away? What if you always feel anxious or scared? I still do. After all of these years, after having tried everything, after even having success at some of the things that I wish to have many years ago and then having achieved them, I still feel scared and I still feel like I'll fail with every new thing that I take on. But the thing is, I can't let that fear stop me because I don't think it will ever go away. So I learned to live with it and embrace it and realize, yeah, it's a little bit scary in the moment, but ultimately the wisdom and the lessons that I'm going to learn from having that fall and losing that thing is way more important than the comfort I'll have if I just don't fail. And in terms of shifting your perspective, you need to learn to actually celebrate the fact that you stepped out of your comfort zone. That is a big deal. A lot of people will never do that throughout their entire life. So well done for trying. You can't fail if you don't try. Another way to shift your perspective is to change your definition of failure. It doesn't always have to be this massive thing and a big outcome that's the win. Sometimes maybe just the lesson you got from it stops it from being a failure. And this is my mindset. Like, if I go out and I do something and it didn't turn out the way I wanted and it just ended up being a fail, like I wasn't productive or I didn't get what I needed from it, okay, but it's not a fail because I gained this wisdom from it, which means I'll never make this mistake again. And now I can incorporate this into the knowledge I already have around my work and my content. So I'm now 1% better for all of the work I have lying ahead of me because I made that mistake. So that's not even a mistake, it's not a failure. I gained something from that in the end. It's just not what I thought I would gain from it. And just remember, in the time that you are waiting to feel ready to take that step and do that scary thing, in that time you could have actually done the thing. Don't waste any more time trying to feel ready because who knows if that will ever come. 3, make it so you don't have a choice. I'm currently living this lesson right now. As a post-grad doing content creation full-time, I could have had a part-time job and gotten a 9 to 5 and done my content on the side until it was 100% stable and there wasn't a bunch of uncertainty around it, because there still is. If I did that, that meant my content creation was a backup and I had a safe option of whatever side job I would have chosen, and that means I wouldn't have had to give my all to content creation, nor would I have the time to. So I made it so I don't have a choice. If I want to succeed in content creation, I don't need a backup. I don't need a side job. I don't need a part-time safe space of, okay, at least I have this side income coming in case this doesn't work. I don't have a choice. I can't fail at this. I have to put everything in this because this is all I've got right now. And because it's my only choice and everything is riding on this one thing, then I have to stop procrastinating. I have no choice. If you have a backup or a safe option, then that means that failing becomes a little bit more comfortable because technically it's not a fail, right? You have that backup. You have that kind of cushion to fall back on. I've made it so I have nothing to fall back on. I have to put everything into this. It for sure raises the pressure, but it also means my chances of succeeding at this one thing, content creation, is now much higher because I'm putting more into it. Lesson 4, comparison is the root of all misery. It's easy to feel like you're failing when you compare yourself to overnight celebrities or even billionaires who are younger than you. So no matter what you do achieve, it never really feels like it's enough compared to these people, right? It is so important to spend time actually defining what success means to you, because it does not look the same to everybody. Sometimes success can just mean learning a new skill, getting a promotion, getting a new job, affording to buy a new sofa for your living room. It can be anything. Even the fact that you started a side hustle, that is a success. You don't have to wait until it's made this amount of money or it's got this amount of followers online or you've got a giant warehouse full of products. You taking that step to start it and have that idea, that's a success already. Not everything has to be big and huge and better than everybody else. The small wins are still wins. So please remember to actually count your blessings and achievements, and slowly it won't feel like you're failing anymore. Lesson number 5, you are not your failures. They do not make up your identity, and most importantly, you can make those failures work for you in your favor. For example, failed relationships. I've had my fair share of them. But they weren't fails. In fact, every single one taught me something about myself. It taught me way more about my standards, what I actually look for in a partner. I 100% would not have gotten it right the first time. Many of us wouldn't. And I feel like our ideal list, we should all have an ideal list, by the way, for our ideal partner in life, our soulmate, slowly changes. We make little changes, we take things out, we write new things in through each different dating experience we have with various people. So every time you talk to somebody or you're in a relationship and they don't turn out to be your soulmate, you're actually one step closer to your real soulmate, because from the time that you spent with them, you've learned, okay, wow, I didn't even know, I actually don't like this, and I do like this. I didn't even consider putting that on my list, now I know. And once you're done dating that person and you're onto the next one, you have more filters in place, and finding the real soulmate is a lot easier. Every dating disaster or failed relationship has led to beautiful discoveries, not just for me, but for so many people. So cherish them. They're so important. And just to prove it to you, after my last failed relationship, I realized that I had an insecure attachment style. My entire life, I thought I had insecure attachment where I was actually fearful avoidant. If I wasn't in that relationship with that person, I never would have known that. I never would have went out to buy the book to learn about that, and I feel like my dating experiences have elevated so much because of that experience. So I'm thankful to have met that person and to have gone through the motions with them and experienced those difficult emotions, and have had to heal from the breakup, because I learned something so big that has really changed me as a person and even how I look at dating and relationships, and that is so valuable. And please remember, you are not your failures. Nobody is looking at you and judging you for your failures. And if they do, please remember, we all have lost something. We've all made 1,000 mistakes. Nobody gets anything right 100% of the time, even though it might look like it on social media, even though it might look like it in big documentaries and in the movies. It's not reality at all. You failing is normal. That's what makes you human. Embrace it. And that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this was a bit of a shorter video, but I wanted to keep it concise and sweet, and I'm very passionate about this, and it's really been a huge lesson that I've learned, especially recently, now that I'm taking content creation full time, and I've just had to learn to sit with that self-doubt and fear of failure to just get on with things and be productive and not procrastinate. So I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, feel free to message me on Instagram. My DMs are always open, and if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, because I make videos every single week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.